welcome back to another episode of Kate and Isaiah Living Large. I'm Isaiah.
And I'm Kate.
And this is the second time we recorded that. And what's new? What's the hap? How's it going? This episode is going to be about
the fat spectrum.
The fat spectrum and categories of fatness, I guess.
Or Fatagories.
Fatagories. Ooh, Fatagories. I like categories, but Fatagories. I like it. But before we begin, what's new? What's the haps? What do you got going on?
Well, I got a couple of good shows coming up. I will be in Miramichi on December 27th in a comedy competition where I could win $500 for 5 minutes of comedy. Oh, that would be something.
All the way to Miramichi for 5 minutes?
Yeah, but it's worth it. It could be 5 plus 10.
That's true.
And $500 richer.
True.
There's some really great comics on this lineup though, so just to see a good comedy show and like be in a new part of New Brunswick on a time when I have a couple of days holidays, not so bad.
No, it's fun.
There's nothing that could hold us back like snow. Then on January 10th, I'm opening for James Mullinger at the BMO Studio Theater, and then on January 23rd or 24th, I'm opening for Michelle Petite at Punchlines Comedy Club in St. John. And then on February 14th, I'm co-headlining a show with Taylor Lakeport and Maggie Esty at Comic Suture in Fredericton. It's a Valentine's Day show on February 14th about the girl trauma llama.
Girl power.
Drama.
Drama llama?
Yeah, that's what I said. Those are words that I said and uttered it on my mouth.
It's true. And then you said that the guys are in the...
Yeah, then there's a response from dudes on February 15th.
Oh, interesting. That's fun.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great show. I'm excited about it.
I will see none of them.
Yeah, I
am staying away from that until we get 1,000 viewers, and then I'll go.
Why? Why do you hate me?
Listen, it's just a love-hate situation going on over here. More hate than love, but...
Oh, that's rude. That's rude. I quit.
Well, I'll see you next week then. But, yeah. No, I have been doing nothing but reading comic books and trying to go to the gym. We'll say I went to the gym. Let's pretend I did.
You know what? By the time this comes out, you will have been to the gym 6 times.
Let's say that. Let's hope that.
Well, no hope. Do or do not. There is no try.
Thanks, Star Wars.
It's Yoda.
Thanks, Star Wars. But anyway, let's get into our topic. Let's not ramble on any longer. So you found another article.
Yep, found an article about how fat isn't enough of a descriptor of somebody's state in life, because there are different levels of fatness. And I had never thought of this at all. And all the times I've been doing this podcast and that I've been living my life, I've never thought about categories of fatness, but it makes so much sense. And so I'll give you a brief rundown of how they're described. So there's then there's normal, not normal, but straight size. So
straight size. So anyone that is not classified as fat.
Exactly. So anybody that has no barriers in their life because of how much they weigh. So somebody who can exist in life, fit in normal chairs, fit in normal size clothes, no barriers whatsoever.
Okay.
Just not a part of your thinking whatsoever. Then there's the small fats.
That's me.
There's the small fats where they might be in that 12 to 14 size range for women. I don't know what that is for men. Probably the large, extra large.
That's not a size in men's.
Large and extra large shirts. Yes, they
shirts.
are.
Yes, I guess I thought you were talking about pants.
No,
you're talking about pant size.
I'm talking about shirts.
Oh, okay. I thought girls' pant sizes were numbered. I didn't realize girls' shirt sizes were numbered too. It's weird.
Well, they're numbered much like yours are numbered, like 1X, 2X, 3X, 4X, etc. And then pants are, but some shirts and blazers can also be the pant size, like 18, 20, 22, 24.
I did not know that.
830. Anyway.
Did not know that.
But yeah. So So that's the small fats where like there are, they might have to shop in a different section of the store, but generally can get through life. Very limited barriers in existing. They still have no problem working and like getting around and all of those things. Then there's the mid fats where size wise for women, you're in the 2x to 3x range where you're starting to have some barriers in getting around, but for the most part can live a normal life. Though your brick and mortar stores are very limited in where you can shop. You're down to, depending on where you live, 1 or 2 stores that you can shop in. And it's harder to get around. Like you have starting to have more issues. And then the large fats is that next level up where it's like that 4x, 5x sizing, 24 to 26 to 28 pant size, and where it's even harder to find clothing. Most stores that even have inclusive sizing max out at about 3x unless you're at a specialty store. And a lot of your shopping is done online and you have more and more barriers. It's harder to get around, harder. You have issues with chairs and flying and all those things that we talk about regularly. But by and large, you can still work and, you still function pretty, and I'm not going to say pretty well, but like you still function in society. And then there's the super fats, which is where in some cases they don't even make clothes your size anymore.
That's the TLC specials.
Yeah, kind of, I think. Whereas the TLC specials, you are basically discredited from society as a person. You have major issues because your mobility is absolutely impossible, and people don't, if they look at you at all, it's with disdain.
Interesting.
And so I in a really strange mental exercise, I place myself at the high end of the mid fat and the low end of the large fat.
Okay.
Based on my sizing and that sort of thing, and my ability to get around in society. And I function reasonably well in society, although I've been struggling a little bit as of late with some mobility and some walking and stuff like that. But by and large, still maintain a job, still have friends, still have a social life, still do lots of things. Can buy clothes at a one brick and mortar store. Maybe I can buy clothes at Walmart too. But limited in that respect, a lot of online shopping, but can still fit into sizing in the store and that sort of thing. But what was sick in my mind, and this is what I can't, like, it was my first thought, is like, oh my God, I'm only a mid fat, maybe a large fat. Wow, I'm so great. And then I was like, what is wrong with you?
Doing
the whole
so well.
Point of all of the stuff that we talk about is to not let ourselves go through that mental exercise.
Yeah. So I was about to ask, is there, do you feel like that this division piece is needed? Like, is that I generally asking that question, I guess.
Well, I think that in reading the article, there are some divisions because somebody who's a small fat, based on this categorization, does not have the same experience as somebody who's a super fat.
Okay.
Because you're just carrying a little bit of extra weight, probably, I mean, I'm assigning numbers to this, but let's say it's 20 to 30 pounds or something like that, which is annoying. And it's not about how you feel about yourself. It's about how physically you move throughout society. Like, yeah, you can still buy clothes. You may not feel good. And this is a conversation that it doesn't matter what size you are, if you are feeling bad about yourself. Like if you're still a straight normal size and you go from a size 8 to a size 12, well, that doesn't feel good for anyone. But you're not suffering the same, but you can still function in everyday society. It's not holding you back in terms of where you can shop, whether you fit in your chair at work, whether you are ostracized by society or not.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I could see a legitimacy on like from a psychological standpoint and a medical standpoint.
But even not medical, but even just functional, like even you look at the differences between your experiences and my experiences. While we have a lot of commonalities, you don't have the same. You can still walk quite a bit further than I can because you're physically more capable of doing so, and therefore your life is more toward the average normal side than mine would be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. And I understand that aspect, but as a societal aspect, do we need to divide like that?
Do we need to? Do we need to divide anything? But it's, but in some ways, I think it's an interesting thought exercise.
Yes, I think that's true.
Do we need a reason to further divide anybody? Like, oh, we're all the same, except we're not all the same. You don't know my kind of fat. Right. Seems like such a challenging thing to do. Although when it's examined from a not shaming other people about how they feel about their fat, but examined from a perspective of just like getting along in society, like a super fat does not have the same experience as a mid fat.
Yeah, I think it's from an empathetic side, it could be good to separate that, but it just seems like a extra unnecessary separation of existence.
Yeah, well, we kind of joked about this in the last episode, but I think there's a difference. I do think there's a difference between being thick,
yeah,
and stumbling, not being able to buy clothes.
Yeah,
and feel good about that. Like,
there definitely is a difference in that. But again, I go back to, do we need to like have a way to describe that, or can we just be empathetic towards each other? But
well, it's a question of, if something's not defined, then is something even a thing? And I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on this. This isn't my normal, like, no, it was this. But I do wonder. It was a bit of a mind-blowing article for me to read, in that, like, I felt seen a little bit. Okay. And there was actual parameters around different things. Do we need to call it what it's called? I mean, what's in a name is kind of the old adage, right?
That's what I say. Maybe like from a psychological standpoint, and like maybe even a medical standpoint, it might be necessary to understand that stuff. But as a societal standpoint, I don't know if that's.
From a medical standpoint, they'd use real numbers, like your weight and height and all BMI and or whatever, like markers. So from a medical standpoint, it's moot, because there are other markers for that. Actual science data.
As arguably as the BMI.
Yeah, BMI. Let's pretend I didn't say BMI, but weight, height, other mitigating factors, diabetes, high blood pressure, blah blah
so
blah.
Maybe just psychological. Maybe.
So, and is it psychological, or is it sociological? Is it who's it for? I guess.
I guess that's the main question.
Because by not defining who people are, do you not give them a voice and not change their experience? And this is not the same thing. But if we just say everybody's the same all the time, and not accept that people have different upbringings and different experiences because of what they are, like, and so let's say we apply this to race. If I just say, I don't see color, and I do say that as a joke pretty frequently, but that's dumb, because you as a black man have a different experience than me as a white woman.
Yeah, I get that. But when we're talking about obesity and size, I think when we get into a certain, at some point in time, the divide is just dividing it to divide it, and not necessarily
I don't know though, because I truly don't. I don't know. I tend to be on the side of like not actively discussing it all the time and shaming people for being one or the other, but having that differentiation and recognizing that like as a high mid to large fat, that my experience, even in like this is an experience you haven't had, I don't think, is an office chair that you just don't fit in and having to have be resized for one that I do fit in.
Right. Yeah.
That's just an experience that you haven't had.
Sure.
And there are many like that, and you know, we have this podcast called Living Large, so we've both accepted that we're both bad.
Yes.
Like, but it doesn't mean that it's all created equal.
Right. I guess my argument against it is not necessarily the fact that we may have different experiences, but my argument would be, at what point do you divide? At what point is dividing too much? Because then are we going to divide mid to mid and small mid and high mid? Or
well, I don't know. It depends on what the difference of experience is, and I don't think these are. And to your point, I don't think these are things we need to dwell on.
Right.
Like, I don't think I'm going to come into the next episode and go, Isaiah, you look like you're moving on to being a mid. Like, maybe check it.
Yeah.
But, or like, Caitlin, you're moving up to a super, not great. Or, woo, you're fully out of the large. You're fully into, like, I don't think that's acceptable. And I also don't think it would be acceptable for me to like shame somebody, be like, you don't know me because I'm a large fat and you don't know what it's like. But to see yourself in some of these things and recognize that there are differences, because, you know, somebody who is 20 pounds overweight does not have the same experience as somebody who's 200 pounds overweight. Right. Like, and that's just fact. And if you want true empathy, or to find people, not even to find people, but just to recognize that there are other people who are having the same experience as you. Because I've, you know, even so as long as it's used for good, not evil.
Well, that's the thing, right? That's the, I guess that's the true question, is at what point in time does something become either A, unnecessary, or B, becomes a tool used for not great things and disguised as something that is supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't like to get caught up on semantics too often anyway. Like, just generally, I don't like to get caught up in, you know, culture wars or anything like that if I can help it. I'm like, if you want to identify as this, I'm going to happily support that, and no problem. And so in the context of me reading this article and being like, oh yeah, there is definitions around this, and you know, it felt good for a moment to feel recognized, and because it's something you kind of knew in the back of your mind, but without a definition, couldn't have put your finger on it.
And I can see it from that point, and that side of being recognized. And I mean, that's part of what we do this podcast for, is to show people, hey, make people feel seen, hopefully.
Right.
So I get that side of things. I'm just asking questions. Oh God. Sorry, that was bad. I'm just kind of curious on the other side of things. I always like to think of things from the other side of the argument.
Oh, so do I. I actually think they were great questions, and those are like in the moment answers, thinking like, oh, well, I don't know, maybe it is but then I kept in my mind going back to like, no, I think there can be some positive. There could be negative too.
Yeah, no. Well, as soon as you pinpoint something, someone is going to find a way to be negative about it. That's sure. That is just, unfortunately, in societal human nature at some point, is that someone is going to be negative about it because they feel unseen now, and
or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, and to my original point, it doesn't matter what size you are. If you're in mental anguish because of how you feel,
Right.
then that's a problem. And, and you need to find a way to get right with yourself and be happy with yourself.
Right.
Regardless of what size you are, and it's so easy to say that, but it's not true. I don't feel good about myself right now.
Yeah. I mean, mentally, it's a whole other thing, right?
Right.
That's
like I said at the top of the episode, my very first gut reaction was like, "Oh my god, I'm not a super fat. That's amazing." That's not good.
That's not.
And to your point, Isaiah, that's a negative thing. And I immediately was like, "What is wrong with you?"
So, it does it mainly based off of
it's mostly women's
sizes
and
right?
women's sizing and a few other mitigating factors.
So do you feel that is there a better way to categorize that other than small fat, mid fat, large fat?
I kind of like the precision of it. And it's to our point in the last episode, like it's not a bad word.
Yeah.
And it's very descriptive of what it is, trying to dance around that and be like, I'm princess fat. I'm queen fat. It's just silly.
Princess fat.
You are.
Thank you.
I'm king fat. I'm
Henry the Fifth fat.
Yeah, it's just silly.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just wondering if there is and because I didn't really read all of the article. I skimmed it over. Is there a way to, because it is based off of women's sizes? You said it does dive into like the mental. Or
I mean, I didn't fully read the article either, but I mostly was obsessed. Not obsessed. I was
with the actual categories.
The actual categories, and wanted to have a discussion, which we have done, about that. And I think there's more to go on here. And I could be convinced to go the other way if I saw. And I don't think this is a thing that's used. Generally, I mean, we've been doing this podcast for nearly 2 years, and this is the first either of us have heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think this is a common thing.
No. And I guess the question is, do we add it to the common vernacular? Do we? And
I don't know. And if anybody has any strong opinions on this, please write to us or comment or like or share or whatever you're supposed to do.
Yeah. I mean, I'll put the article in the description so that if anyone wants to actually go read it and get a little bit more reading in, for that, I'll definitely add it there.
Yeah, I think there's more to talk about here probably, but not today.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting topic to touch on. I think there is a world in which we can delve into what it's like, what the difference in size means,
right?
At the end of the day,
and ultimately, you're a good person and good heart and all those things. It doesn't matter, but it does matter how you navigate your way through life.
Right. Exactly. But let's wrap this up. So where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me at
Fat Kate.
Fat Caitlin on
Fat Kate now.
Yeah, on TikTok, which I haven't updated in well over a year. The Caitlin Dean on X. Nobody uses that anymore. It's real negative there.
It's very negative over there.
I think I'm Caitlin Dean on Blue Sky, though. I only follow one person and I never log in. And that person is Isaiah, because I support him. He doesn't support my comedy.
It's true. I am an unsupportive podcaster.
And then Caitlin Dean on Facebook, or Kate and Isaiah Living Large, also on Facebook.
And I am at Maritime Brews on all of the social medias, and including Blue Sky. Pretty much all the other ones I post about politics or beer, but Blue Sky is my blogging mostly about movies I watch every Sunday. But we also have our Buy Me a Coffee going on still. If you want to donate to that for a brand new camera, that would be appreciated. And if you are listening on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen to your podcast at, we appreciate you. If you can like, share, subscribe on there. Or if you want to come on over and watch the video, we are over on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, if you can like, share, subscribe, comment, tell us what you think about the sizing of this stuff.
And you can compliment me on my haircut.
And you can compliment Caitlin on her haircut, her brand new haircut. But if you can like, share, subscribe over there, that would be appreciated. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.